Windows should start up. Now, because there's no sound card, Windows...
You know what? I hope this will actually be circulated all around the city. I'm wearing it.
Hey, welcome to today's edition of Woodsy TV. In today's video, we are going to talk about Windows 3.1. Back in the 90s, Windows used to be installed on floppy disks. You would need to install Windows 3.1 back in the day. You would needed floppy disks like this, and it was about 7. Windows 3.1 used to be 7 disks, including for the print drivers. Right. First of all, to install Windows 3.1, you needed to install DOS. You needed to install DOS first, and the minimum for Windows 3.1 is DOS 5. However, it is recommended to install the latest version of MS-DOS, which is MS-DOS 6.22, standalone DOS. However, there is a DOS, there's also another type of DOS that is actually, that runs Windows 95. Windows 95 is a lot different to Windows 3.1, and we won't demonstrate that version of Windows in this video. But the version before that, Windows 3.1, which was the second version of Windows that was a commercial success. It was the first Windows version. It was the first Windows version to include sound card extensions, multimedia extensions, and it actually ensured that it was built for multimedia computers. However, Windows 95 was plug and play at that, but it was not plug and play with Windows 3.1. You have to go for the config sys and all that back to get your device drivers configured to run your sound card and CD-ROM drive. I remember back in 95, I was configuring a single spin CD-ROM. It took me a fortnight to figure it out because it was my first time doing it. And you have to work out the addresses, the interrupts and DMAs, all manual back in those days, all absolutely manual. Today it's all plug and play. Windows 95 was the first operating system to support plug and play. But today's edition, we won't talk about Windows 95. But Windows 95 was a very, very good milestone in the history of Windows. And Windows, most Windows design today, up to Windows 11, which is the current version at the recording of this YouTube program, it still holds a similar design of Windows 95 set out back in 1995 with the start menu and the taskbar and the icons. But when people have used Windows from Windows 95 and try out Windows 3.1, they have a shock. You see the Program Manager and File Manager. Those two applications were used to use as administration of the machine. But when Windows Explorer came along, Windows Explorer encapsulated the two applications that were previously separately in Windows 3.1. And Windows 3.1 didn't have icons like My Computer Recycle Bin on desktop. Microsoft had an undelete program on Windows. DOS 6.22 had a program called undelete. And it was either done by command line or done by the program within Windows tools, DOS tools in Windows. There was also another program, another GUI program for DOS. It was also called MS-DOS Shell. And that was introduced in DOS 4. And that was one of Microsoft's first attempts to have a GUI interface to administer the machine. But all that changed when Windows 95 came along with Windows Explorer. There was also other programs called X3 Gold, which was a file management program, which was a lot more powerful than File Manager. And basically back in my DOS days, I mostly used X3 Gold. X3 Gold was a very, very powerful file management application. And basically, we used that, back in our DOS days, we used that a lot more than File Manager, because we believed that X3 Gold was more powerful than Windows File Manager. File Manager was not so powerful as X3 Gold. X3 Gold was a lot more powerful and more functionality than File Manager had. File Manager had the basics. Now today, there's also a program called Z-Tree, which is a clone of X3 Gold. I've got a copy of it. I don't use that hardly ever. Not very often. Because I feel Windows Explorer covers most of the functionality as X3 Gold did. I am installing Windows 3.1 on this old 486 Unisys computer, which is a very tiny little computer. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to install it how I used to install it back in the 90s with floppy disks. And that is what. Now here we go. So back in the DOS days, you take out the floppy disk. You take out the floppy disk. You take out the floppy, and you insert the floppy into the disk drive. And that's the old way. That's the old way of doing it. Anyhow, this is the DOS side of things. Now Windows 3.1 should start very, very shortly where it reaches 100%. And Windows should get into the Windows mode of the setup process of setup, providing that the mouse is working, which I hope it will be. So this is pretty much the old school. Here you go. Now it's got into. Now here you go. Now it is inside Windows setup, and the mouse is working. Thank goodness, I'm happy about that. Now I will do the setting up, the Windows setup, and I'll get Windows to set up. So what I'll do, PowerPoint PC, and then I'll click on continue. I'll click on continue again. Now Windows is now starting to install. Now it wants me to change a disk, of course. And this doesn't take very long. As the computer wants me to do, it wants me to insert another disk. And then I'll click on continue. And then this will repeat on and on and on until all Windows is being installed. So I won't bore you with this here. Depends how long it's going to take. But looks of it won't take very long. So here you go. Now it wants me to install. Now it wants me to click on. Now it wants me to click on continue. Now here you go. So halfway through. Because it's I have now inserted the final disk of installing Windows 3.1. As you can see, it's very straightforward and it doesn't take very long. Now it's installing the last few fonts. Now here you can see Windows is unable to read a file. To fix that up, you just click on retry, and it should be okay to read it. There you go. It's passed. Now Windows is now installed. I'm not going to install a print. I might install a printer. So I might install some printers after. So I'm going to click on install. I'll let Windows install itself. Here you go. This is how this out Windows 3.1. And Windows now is now you set the tutorial. That's just I'll show you anyway. Now back in around 1992, we had a Windows tutorial system here, and it teaches you brush skills with the mouse. Now what I'll do now, I'll start with the mouse, type in M. Now this is Windows teaching you to use a mouse. Now what I'll do, I'll just type in R. Now when you move the mouse across Windows mouse cursor, press enter to continue. There you go. This is the Windows tutorial of Windows 3.1 teaching you how to use the mouse. It was very, very innovative at the time. Just press continue. Try moving the mouse now. Here you go. Press enter to continue. Now here you click on 1 and 2. 3, 4 and 5. And this basically teaches you how to use click the left mouse button now. Now then it teaches you how to click on the control box, the total bar, minimize button, the maximize button, the menu bar, the main group icon, and accessories, and also accessories. And that is basically, now to continue, press there. Now in this portion, it teaches you how to double click. Like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. When you do, there could be a risk that these discs are corrupt. So far it's so good of installing Windows. Now it wants me to install disk number 4. Now this is how we used to install Windows on a floppy. This is the old way of doing it. So this is how we used to install Windows on a floppy disk. Now what I'm going to do now, like it asked me to do. I'm going to put in disc number 4. And now this portion here, you do click on the mouse button to continue. Then it teaches you how to drag the icon. It teaches you how to drag stuff. Yeah, and that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Now exit this tutorial. This is now the next portion. Instructions. Here's instructions here. Turns tutorial. And this basically teaches Windows. How to use Microsoft Windows. Here you go. Continue. Now the person learning how to do it there. You click on continue. Demo. And continue. Now the contents is how to, that's the task, basic tasks that you'll learn. Now I'll press escape and now it wants me to reboot. This is a very old machine back in. Now it wants me to get Windows going. And there you go. You got Windows started up there. Now we'll just type in Win. Windows should start up. Now, because there's no sound card, Windows has no sound. But back in the old days, we used to have sound on Windows. Okay. No worries. So, we'll have a word. While Windows is installing on the computer, I will then get into what the purpose of this computer is going to be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use it for doing PowerPoints showing. Now, installing Windows 3.1 did not take very long. It's just a lot of swapping of disks. And this is basically what I've done back in the 90s when I'm installing Windows. So I've done this many times before, back in the day. Ancient Unisys 486 DX2066. G'day everybody, Stu here from Woodsy TV. In today's tech video, I'm installing Windows 3.1 on there you go. That starts up DOS easy. Okay. Okay.